Good morning and welcome to KB's Spark Plug. This is Kakali. I have come today to continue with the topic controlling our tongue. Now, I'm sure many of you would agree with me that we have the problem uh, of uncontrolled tongue. Our tongue is, I'm not talking about the eating factor, but I'm talking about the speaking factor. And in many of us, we have this problem that our tongue works faster than our minds. And it becomes obvious that we don't have any control on our tongues, so that we speak out things to people which we don't really mean, maybe a momentary disappointment or a momentary frustration which can otherwise be controlled and the situation may be saved. But because we have an uncontrolled tongue, we tend to tell people things very rudely, very arrogantly, and this in turn affects our relationships. So, the instrument that is the tongue, which is supposed to save us from people who are rude, from people who are intruding into your rights and your peace, you yourself turn into a person who is very rude with others. Therefore, having tongue with absolute control on it becomes very important. Now, what happens when we have uncontrolled tongue? First of all, we hurt other people, and that is unknowingly and unintentionally in most cases. And but then the person is hurt, and it actually becomes a factor which alienates you from the person. You get alienated and the person moves away from you because you have been rude, because you have been very arrogant in your speech. The other person tends to throw you out of his circle. So this actually in turn harms ourselves. We are thrown out of their circles. We lose the relationship, we lose the bond. So we don't realize that though we are hurting the other person, but in the process, actually, we are hurting ourselves. We are harming ourselves. So we are left finally with a remorse. Why did I say this to him? And most of the times, we are also left with an ego which says, no, you don't go and talk to the person. If he has thrown you out of his circle, you also don't care. So the situation becomes very grave and it becomes very difficult to mend the situation. So these are the outcomes that happen when we have an uncontrolled tongue. Now, sometimes it's a boon, as I have said, to set up a boundary around yourself against people who can be arrogant with you and who can be intruding with you. But at other times, and most of the times, we should have a control on our tongue. Now, what we should say and what we should not say, that should be strictly maintained. It is important that you refrain from telling, even if a factor is true about the other person. Even if you have realized that the other person has a lacuna or the other person has a gap, even then you should refrain from telling the truth at times, because that is diplomacy. The reason is, why do you need to be that diplomatic? Because that will save the relationship that you share with the person, the bond that you share with the person. So you have to weigh and judge what is more, telling the truth or having the relationship and saving the relationship with that person. So, if we allow the tongue to rule us, like a monkey does, it always jumps around. So, and even our mind also has this tendency to jump to and fro. But if we allow like this, our tongue to jump around and speak out words that are not supposed to be told, it is definitely going to destroy all that we hold precious, particularly the relationships, rather than mending the situations. It will not help to have an uncontrolled tongue, and therefore we should have complete control over it. Now, what to do if we have, this uncontrolled tongue? How can we develop ourselves and have a control on our tongue? Now, there are certain factors which we can do. That is, number one, think before you speak. That is very important. No one is in a hurry, neither you nor the person to whom you are speaking. Take your time, think what you are saying, and speak it out. Sometimes you can tell the truth in a roundabout way instead of really calling out names and being arrogant. So think how to approach that person so that you don't hurt him, you don't be arrogant to him, but at the same time you can convey what you want to convey to him. So thinking before speaking out is very essential. For example, an arrow, once the arrow is released from the bow, there is no way to get it back. It will reach its destination. So words are like that. What you speak, once it goes out of your mouth, it's gone. You cannot do anything. So therefore, it is important that you think, you wait, you don't utter whatever comes to your mind. Wait, think on it before you speak out. Hold on before you open your mouth. Absolutely important. Also, you have to keep in mind that being humble saves in a lot of situations. You can always be humble in your approach. Even if you are telling something to the other person, you can be very humble, very down to earth, not very accusing, yet making your point. So if you can adopt this technique, it will help you and save you from a lot of situations so that you don't lose out on your relationships and bonds that you share with others. And in case you have rudely spoken to a person, there is always this opportunity to say and apologize. For example, you can always tell, I'm sorry I told you this, or you can always admit that yes, it was not, this is not what I wanted to mean. I did not want to hurt you, but the fact that you are very late in your work, you are not punctual in your work, you don't maintain the time limit, actually makes us suffer as a team. So you are putting forth your point, but at the same time, if you have become rude in what you have said, you can always admit that I did not mean it. I did not mean to be rude, but what I want to tell you is that, this. So you can make yourself clear to the other person that your intention is not to hurt him, is not to look down upon him, but to make him understand so that you can have better, results from the next time. So, it is like you can always explain yourself. So most of the times we develop an ego, like, okay, I have told him, I have very rudely spoken this to him. What might he be thinking? Doesn't matter. I cannot tell sorry to him. Now if this happens, or I cannot admit that I was wrong, now if this happens, that is going to make trouble. It will be troubling your relationship. It will troubling the whole situation. So it is necessary that you admit that you did not mean to hurt the other person, but yes, you have a point to say, and you carry on with the point. So these are certain techniques that you can adopt. And I would give you an example, like, in newspaper or in magazines, we have seen that, there are often, or sometimes, the celebrities, they call each other names, and they accuse each other, and they are catfighting, and the media, of course, take advantage of the situation, and they highlight it further, so that it becomes a nasty incident that we get on the media. It may be television in the news, it may be newspaper, it may be journal, but a very nasty situation is portrayed. Now, the same thing can happen among us also. I mean, the same kind of situation, the same dirty, negative aspect of a situation can arise, where maybe, because of your uncontrolled tongue, the situation just moved out of control. And there can be some people supporting you, others supporting the other person, and a lot of rift and verbal violence. And so this is undesirable. This is what it should not happen. It's best to avoid such situations. And most importantly, you will, in course of time, if this goes on, you will be left alone, alienated in the society, right? So this is not what we desire to have. We need to save our relationships, we need to save our bonds. And if we also have the uncontrolled tongue, you will be at the receiving end. No matter, maybe, you started with telling something which is true about the other person, and you started with a good intention, but it will go out of hand, the whole situation, and probably you will be at the receiving end, where the most of the accusations happen against you. So no one really desires to go through such experiences, and therefore what we can do is we can think before we speak out, we can hold on our tongue, we can wait for some time before we speak our mind, and we can always be humble in what we say. There are ways how you can express yourself. We can admit to the other person that we did not want to be rude, yet we can make our point if we have any against that person. So keeping these, I think, and practicing to speak out accordingly, I'm sure will help you in all your affairs. So let me know that whether this video is useful for you, and I request you to listen to the full video. Please support me, and please give likes and share my video, comment on my video, and do not forget to subscribe my channel. And I would be happy enough to bring more such videos. So we will meet very soon, and bye bye for today.